Coming up, we talk to ICT's Canadian correspondent about Orange Shirt Day and a nation's journey toward healing. Plus, we find out how one Native nation is keeping its language and culture alive for the next generation. And we hear from a family who has been searching for the story of an ancestor who was buried 127 years ago at Carlisle Indian School. We have those interviews, plus headlines ahead on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
The ICT Newscast is sponsored by the Indian Land Tenure Foundation, a nonprofit organization serving American Indian nations and people in the recovery and control of their rightful homelands. On the web at iltf.org.
Support for the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez comes from the Arizona PBS studios in Phoenix at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University.
Amirawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. I am Aaliyah Chavez. We start today in Southern California, where a newly proposed monument would protect sacred lands if it is approved. Both elected officials and tribal leaders are calling on President Joe Biden to designate Chuckwalla as a national monument to protect lands adjacent to Joshua Tree National Park. Last week, Representative Raul Ruiz, a Democrat from California, introduced the legislation called the Chuckwalla National Monument Establishment and the Joshua Tree National Park Expansion Act of 2023. If passed into law, it would protect over 660,000 acres of land, making it the largest protected area of the Colorado Desert bioregion. The proposal would include the homelands of several tribes, including the Cahuilla, Chemehuevi, Mojave, Quechuan, and Serrano nations. Federal officials added that making Chuckwalla a national monument would help the state meet its goal to protect 30% of public lands and coastal waters by 2030. So far, the effort has gained local support, including from tribal leaders. In the Pacific Northwest, women who are incarcerated are fresh off an experience to reconnect with their culture. The Washington Corrections Center for Women recently hosted its Sisterhood Powwow to remind them that they are not forgotten. Nearly 100 friends, family, and staff members gathered to share culture and fellowship. A representative from Unctikawa, an indigenous nonprofit that organized the event, spoke before the crowd. Jeremy Garrettson, who is Northern Arapaho, added that too often women who are imprisoned are an afterthought. Unctikawa provided supplies and lessons for women to make beaded earrings, leather drums, and dream catchers to give to loved ones in attendance. They also organized a competition powwow, bringing in dancers from outside the prison walls. Many of the incarcerated attendees said the event was a much-needed spiritual experience. We head now internationally, where the mental health among Indigenous Australians and Torres Strait Islanders are a growing concern. Indigenous Australians are experiencing what's being called a suicide crisis. According to new reports, there's an increasing number of people who know at least one or two people who have taken their own life. The government's Mental Health Commission, which funds suicide prevention, does not have the resources needed to combat the problem. Megan Crowler, who is Menig from the southern part of the country, was recently awarded the 2023 Australian Mental Health Prize for her decades of work spotlighting the suicide issue among Indigenous people. In a statement, she said a call to action is required to reverse the trend. 80% of Australian Indigenous child suicides occur among those aged 12 and younger, according to reports. The primary factors for this crisis include poverty, discrimination, and barriers to education. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. In Idaho, citizens of the Shoshone-Bannock Nation came together recently to plant seeds. This is part of an effort for future generations to carry on traditional harvesting while understanding the ties native languages have to the land. Roselynn Yazzie has the story.
Beneath the cloudy blue sky, nestled in the sagebrush, Shoshone-Bannock families searched for the best spot to pick piñon pines. For time immemorial, the native people have foraged in the area now known as the City of Rocks National Reserve in Idaho. The harvesting of pine nuts is typically done in the late summer into autumn. This year, the nation's Language and Culture Preservation Program is working with the Bureau of Land Management. The partnership is part of the Seeds of Success Project, a national native seed collection program. Nolan Brown, Original Territories Historical Research Manager, explains the purpose of the event and why they're working to preserve piñon pines.
To bring out our tribal members and gather in a traditional manner, and also the second purpose was we collaborated with the BLM state office. Our tribal liaison Susan Filkins arranged for us to contribute to seed banking project, so that we'll always have pinyon seeds in case of a catastrophe, be it fire or because of climate change. There's a mold called black stain mold that is killing the pinyon pines around here. And so we wanted to bank those seeds in case anything should ever happen. And also there was a third purpose to this trip, is we wanted to collect seeds that we could bring home to Fort Hall, and with our land use and language and culture and tribal member Sydney Fellows, we created a project to plant some pinyon pines, and we've selected a few areas on the reservation to do that.
One of the many goals of the preservation program includes adding the Shoshone and Bannock languages into more events. Shoban citizen Bailey Dan, who is an Original Territories historical researcher, has committed herself to the study and teaching of her language. Put together by language instructors, Dan taught some phrases to use while gathering. To get a better understanding of her language, Bailey works with elders, who she calls the ultimate masters. And though she's still learning herself, the language worker is always willing to share what she knows.
And we're out here today in this beautiful land out collecting pine nuts, and currently the pine nut season is either over, we either missed it, or it needs a little bit more time. But we're out here, and I think the most important part, even if we don't have a successful harvest, is being able to be in the land and use our language and connect with the land, because the land recognizes us and our ancestors recognize us. And so when we're here in these beautiful areas, it's really important for our people to be here and to assert our presence, but then also to use the language as much as possible. And so earlier this afternoon, I gave a Shoshone language lesson that our language instructors with LCPD put together. And so that was really nice. And it was really great to see a lot of youth here, so they can, just be around the language and learn their traditions, such as pine nut gathering, which is something that we can lose if we don't continue to do it every year. So I think that's really important. So Devat is pine nut, and when we're collecting our Devat, it's good to to have good thoughts when we're collecting it. And so that's really important, and to pray Nani Shundahai Daman Devat Desensogo Nani Shundahai. We need to have that good thoughts, those good thoughts when we're collecting, and because there's a reciprocity between the things that we gather and ourselves and our spirits, and so and their spirits. And so when we come together and we meet, it's good to have those. We need to have those good thoughts, so that they can recognize us, and so that we can harvest in a good way so that they will come back.
Shoshone-Bannock citizen LaDawn Poog says she felt blessed being in the traditional lands of her ancestors. Growing up, she remembers her grandmother bringing her grandchildren with their buckets to pick pine nuts. As time went on, the family stopped going because she says the area they used to go to was bought and fenced off to them. Since then, Poog says she was not sure of where to go to gather and was happy to see the opportunity to learn more. More importantly, she says she was very excited to make new memories with her children.
I always tell my kids stories. We used to go get pine nuts, and we still go get choke cherries and stuff, and do whatever cultural activities we can. And so when I saw this opportunity, I was just like, let's go. We have to go. And so we just canceled a lot of other plans that we had because this was it. And I had been thinking about my grandmother a lot on my mind the past few months, and this just, I don't know, it's just a beautiful moment and a beautiful seeing how the I don't know who they are, the Rangers, I guess, the people that work for the BLM, and how nice they were, and how we were talking about building a rapport together, and kind of letting us come and harvest, and learning that we're allowed to come harvest. It's just a beautiful feeling. It feels like a lot of healing coming out, a lot of healing coming together, and especially for my children and for all the youth that are here, they get to experience it. To me, that is just priceless.
For the event, the Bureau of Land Management opened up a new area to Shoban families that is currently unavailable for public use. The seed collection itself took place over 4 days, and event planners say, just like their ancestors, they'll return every year. In Elmo, Idaho, Roselynn Yazzie, ICT News.
High hopes were dashed last month for the family of Edward Spott, a Puyallup boy who died at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in 1896. Amber Taylor and her niece Tiana Bill dug through the records and found his grave. When the Army opened the gravesite, the remains that were found were not Spott's, and no one can say where else in the graveyard they may be. ICT's Stuart Huntington spoke with Taylor and Bill about the mix-up, misery, and mystery.
I do family research pretty often. It is just something that I've always been interested in. So I was doing some research late one night. I think me and my auntie were with each other earlier that day. I can't remember, but something told me to do research. There are names listed on Carlisle's website, all of the students buried in the cemetery. So I look and I see the last name Spott. We have Spotts in our family tree. And as I'm clicking through his files, I realized that this is a Puyallup boy. He was sent over to Carlisle in 1894 and passed away in 1896. And as I'm looking at his student information card, I see that he is the son of Marcellus and Mary Ann Spott. So I went up our family tree again and made sure those names lined up, and all documentation indeed proved that he was their son, a Puyallup tribal member, and he never made it home. He was buried in the original cemetery. They moved his body one time. And yeah, that is pretty much where it all started. I got in contact with my auntie and asked what we should do to get this young man home. So my auntie's been by my side through this whole process. When we found him, we were, of course, devastated, and it's like this whole new grieving process had started. We were grieving this relative who has been gone for 127 years, but to find him and find out that we had the opportunity to bring him home was like amazing. And we were so excited to, bring him back to his homelands, take care of him the way that our family takes care of business. Lay him to rest on our own, send him off with whatever we want to send him off with. And that was very exciting. But when we found out the remains were not his, it was devastating. And you could really feel all of that trauma, like you feel that heartache that his mom felt when she found out that her son was not coming home. It was kind of, yeah, it's like chronic grief. It's like that grief not only impacted that mother and that father and his brothers, but that grief lived on for 127 years. And even as we were leaving Pennsylvania, I kind of felt like I was leaving a piece of my spirit behind that I could not get back. I do take this as a family loss, and I love him as much as I love my little brothers or my cousins or aunties, uncles, whoever. You still love him as a family member. So coming home without those remains is just like you feel like a piece of you is missing, like you can't get it back, or like somebody stole something from you. So that was, yeah, devastating. It's trauma that I can't even begin to define or put a name to, I guess. Yeah, just terrible. So many emotions in 2 weeks.
So the Army made a promise. They did make a promise to us when we started this process to bring our ancestor home. They made a promise to do that, right? They made a promise to follow through and assist us with bringing Eddie home. And conversations we had after they had broke the news that it was not him, they are continuing with that promise. They're continuing to do research. They're continuing to look into tracking Eddie down. It's my understanding, though, that we probably won't find him until somebody else comes to disinter their ancestor, their relatives. And the way that things are now, if here it comes again, if there's no living descendants or nobody asking for these children or nobody doing that research, or sometimes you have tribes that are understaffed or tribes that are unrecognized. They're not federally recognized tribes, and those kids may not have an opportunity to come home. So what happens then? We may not get him home. We may not. We're trying to be very positive with it. Very difficult to come home empty-handed.
So we are trying to stay optimistic. Our grandma told us that she hopes that we bring him home in our lifetime. And that's when it kind of settled in. My grandma is 85. The odds of her ever getting to see him return home are very low. So I guess this is why it's important for us to continue to educate our children and nieces and nephews, let them know who he was, what happened to him, and forbid if something happens to one of us or both of us, we just kind of have to pray that our kids will continue on this work for us.
That's our goal. That's our hope. But we do urge tribal folks to reach out to their relatives, find out who your family names are, know who your people are, and check those lists, because Carlisle's not the only school. Carlisle's not the only boarding school at the cemetery. They're all across the nation.
Do your research. When you feel like you're done, do more research. Learn your story so that you can tell it. Don't let your kids forget it. Knowledge is power. And there is power in knowing who your ancestors are. Don't think that just because, we're living in the 2020s that this trauma is something of the past. Because if we don't take care of ourselves right now, and if we don't address it, then it will never be done. It will follow us into our future.
The executive director of the Office of Army Cemeteries, Karen Durham Aguilera, said, quote, "The Army is truly saddened. We were unable to return Eddie to his family this year." ICT correspondent Miles Morisseau was following Saturday's Orange Shirt Day in Canada. It is a federal holiday there, officially known as National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. Here is ICT's editor-at-large Mark Trahant with Morisseau.
Welcome, Miles.
Hello, Mark. It's good to be here.
Let's start by just talking about what Orange Shirt Day is and what it means.
Well, the original story behind Orange Shirt is a young Indigenous girl taken away to one of Canada's Indian residential schools and was off to school for her first day, didn't know what to expect, and was stripped of this beautiful orange shirt and had her hair cut and had that experience where, it's something that was meant to honor her first day and get her first day of school. She realized then what the system that she was in. And that story had resonated with people and started these days on September 30th to mark that and honor the residential school survivors. 3 years ago became a federal holiday that we know now, Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada. It was a great weekend here in the community. The weather was great. The coverage across Canada, you could see in the nation's capital in Ottawa. Parliament Hill was full. Winnipeg, Manitoba, one of the cities in Canada with the largest Indigenous population. The streets were filled with thousands of people, all wearing orange shirts. So certainly the event has continued to grow and continued to spread this word of remembering this event in our history, a tragic event.
So much of Canadian story, I think, is this dual identity where the rest of the world thinks of Canada one particular way, and it's usually this very benevolent image, and yet there's this harsh truth. How is Canada reconciling these two very different ideas about itself?
Well, one of the things that we reported here on ICT News, the rise in residential school denialism in Canada. And there was a special interlocutor of missing children, unmarked graves, and burial sites whose job was to travel the country, meet with survivors and survivors groups, travel to some of the schools where there have been anomalies, hundreds now, thousands of anomalies found next to schools all across Canada, and that work that's being done to honor the children that had passed on, to honor the survivors that had, they have stories to tell, they have dark secrets to carry about those experiences. And so this process is ongoing, and yet Kimberly Murray, who's tasked to do this work, is receiving hate mail on a regular basis. When she goes out to speaking engagements, people show up to question whether or not these things that people have spoken about, that these things that are well documented, that are part of Canada's history, that they're denying that these events took place, that there aren't hundreds and perhaps thousands of children buried around these schools all across Canada, that the experience within those schools was not as traumatic, violent, and painful as the survivors relate. They are denying the existence of that truth.
I want to ask about one particular celebration or commemoration. I don't think celebration is the right word. But let me ask you about the community where you're from and what happened there this weekend.
Yes, we had a gathering, a walk, as they've been doing for a number of years here. And they had 3 survivors of the residential school system, and they were honored as well in the names of those who are still with us. Their names were read out, and families, members were there, to honor them as well. And there was a woman that was from outside the community, and she was visiting, and the community honored her as well. And I spoke to the chief of Kettle and Stony Point First Nation, Kim Brissett, and she shared with me why it was important to honor survivors and the experience that they had.
It's important to just that they know they're loved and they're very valuable to each and every one of us, and just making sure we recognize that and constantly recognize everything they've been through, and that we stand with them and we feel the same things that they feel. I feel in my spirit like what my grandparents went through, and all the other survivors within our communities.
That's very powerful. Thank you. Tell me about some of the other reconciliation efforts going on in Canada.
In addition to the marches, which is significant, people were having certainly celebratory events as well. In nearby First Nation of Walpole Island First Nation, they had an event called Wallapalooza, and it was arts driven, a lot of performances, musical events, and so there's always, as well as there is a part of these Indigenous activities and the Indigenous reality, that survival is also about celebration. It is about, we're still here, we're still singing, we're still dancing. And so I think as we continue on this process of reconciliation, and that we are facing hard truths, and I think that facing a rise in denialism is certainly a present day reality, a present day hard truth that is being faced. But I think that as we move forward on this, hopefully we can see a rise in celebration on this day as well.
Miles Morceau, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mark.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.